Fortunately, this development takes place later in the week, giving the storyline much greater emotional impact while also helping to deepen Kev's connection with Lewis. Kev opens up about the painful experiences that shaped his past, explaining how he ended up on the wrong path and insisting that he never wants to return to prison. He reveals that changing his surname was his way of shielding Lewis from the burden of his troubled history. When Ross arrives, clearly prepared for a confrontation with Kev, Lewis unexpectedly steps in and admits that he wants to give his biological father an opportunity to prove himself. The biggest lesson Kev learns is that sincere, honest conversations are far more effective than dramatic surprises. It's hardly surprising that Kev Townsend has chosen an unusual approach in his latest attempt to convince Lewis Barton that he can become the father he deserves in Emmerdale. Although Kev has only recently returned to the village, he has already found himself at the centre of several dramatic events. After helping rescue Lewis from his kidnapper, Kylie, he decided the emotional aftermath was the right moment to reveal that he was actually Lewis's biological father. Rather than breaking the news during a private conversation, Kev made the unexpected decision to sing Father and Son by Boyzone to Lewis, believing the heartfelt performance would help him accept the truth. Lewis, however, has shown no interest in building a relationship with Kev. Before heading to Cleethorpes to spend time with his adoptive father, he made it clear that he hoped Kev would be gone before he returned. As recent episodes have shown, Kev has no intention of leaving the village. After Lewis comes home, he catches up with Vinnie Dingle and Nicola King, while doing his best to end Kev's repeated attempts to get his attention. Lewis is eventually forced to look over when Kev publicly calls him son. Stepping out of his bakery van, Kev pulls away a covering to reveal that the business has been renamed Barton's Cake Tin. Lewis immediately tells him to restore the original name, only to receive an even bigger surprise when Kev announces that he has officially changed his own name to Kevin Barton. Instead of being touched by the gesture, Lewis is frustrated and firmly tells Kev to leave him alone. The problem with Kev's grand display is that it lacks proper explanation. His intentions may be genuine, but taking the time to honestly explain why he changed his name would have made far more sense than relying on a dramatic reveal. Emmerdale favourite Lisa Riley has spoken about the speculation surrounding Bradley Johnson's future on the ITV soap, insisting she cannot confirm whether his reported departure is actually happening. Rumours first surfaced in May, claiming the 28-year-old star had been written out after portraying Vinnie Dingle for more than 7 years. According to those reports, Mandy's adopted son is expected to leave the village later this year. When asked about the claims during the 2026 Trick Awards, Lisa avoided giving a direct answer and suggested that nothing had been officially confirmed. She explained that she couldn't confirm or deny the reports, adding that Bradley means a great deal to her. Describing him as part of her family, Lisa said they share a very close friendship and that the cast genuinely enjoy working together. She added that the atmosphere on the Emmerdale set feels like one big family and everyone is incredibly happy. While fans remain uncertain about Vinnie's future, Lisa reassured viewers that her own time in the village is far from over. She joked that anyone could end up leaving, including herself, before revealing that she has already signed on to remain with the soap for many years to come. Looking ahead to upcoming episodes, Lisa hinted that Mandy will become increasingly involved with newcomer Kev. Kev first arrived in the village in 2025 as the estranged husband of Robert Sugden, having married him while both were serving prison sentences. After leaving earlier in 2026, he recently returned when he discovered that his biological son, Lewis Barton, had been kidnapped by a woman named Kylie. Discussing the storyline, Lisa revealed that Mandy is immediately suspicious of Kev and doesn't trust him. However, she suggested that as time passes, the two characters could unexpectedly form a friendship despite their rocky start. Speaking warmly about working alongside Chris Coggill, Lisa praised her co-star as an exceptionally talented performer. She described him as brilliant at comedy, always perfectly prepared, and someone who makes every scene enjoyable. According to Lisa, acting opposite him is a dream because he allows room for playful improvisation, and she proudly considers herself one of his biggest supporters. A bitter feud is about to erupt at Home Farm, and Kane Dingle has no idea it has been building behind his back. The trouble began when his son, Kyle, started opening up to Graham Foster instead of turning to his own father. It was only a matter of time before the truth came out, and when it does, Kane is left deeply shaken. Believing he and Kyle shared a close relationship, Kane is devastated to discover that his son has been feeling isolated while his father has been distracted by his own problems. Kyle has endured more trauma than most children his age. He shot Al, lost his mother, watched Moira spend time behind bars, and is now struggling to cope with Kane's cancer diagnosis and his refusal to seek treatment. Unable to deal with his emotions, Kyle has begun setting fires, including burning barns around the village. Determined to uncover the truth, Kane confronts Kim and Joe Tate, demanding they finally admit what really happened. Joe played a key role in Amy's tragic death. While secretly planning to steal Noah's kidney, he drugged him, causing Noah to wander into the road. Charity swerved the limousine to avoid him, sending the vehicle crashing. Amy later fell into an icy lake and eventually died after suffering cardiac arrest. As Kyle presses the stunned Tates for answers, Graham steps in, hoping to calm the situation before it spirals further. Kyle eventually leaves, but when he returns home, Kane and Moira immediately notice how upset and unsettled he has become. Convinced Graham is responsible for Kyle's emotional turmoil, Kane storms over to Home Farm ready for a confrontation. Furious, he warns Graham, Kim and Joe to stay away from his son, threatening serious consequences if they ignore his demand. Kane's outburst creates fresh tension for Graham. No sooner has Kane departed than Joe corners him, insisting he reveal where his loyalties truly lie. Graham finds himself trapped between two sides, unsure of which path to take. Back at home, Kane struggles to keep his emotions under control and ends up taking his frustration out on Kyle, only making the boy feel even worse. Moments later, Kane spots smoke and rushes outside to discover that Kyle has accidentally set a storage shed ablaze. Even more frightening, the family's beloved dog Monty is trapped inside. Without hesitation, Kane forces his way through the burning shed, battling the flames to rescue the terrified pet. The family watches in shock as he carries the injured dog to the vet, while Kyle is left overwhelmed with guilt. The news from Paddy is heartbreaking. He warns the Dingles to prepare themselves for the worst, causing Kane's temper to flare once again. However, Paddy later reveals that Monty's condition is not the result of the fire. The dog has cancer, and sadly his time is already limited. The ordeal forces Kane to confront an uncomfortable truth. He is willing to risk everything to save Monty, yet he has refused treatment for his own cancer. The emotional comparison leaves him questioning whether he has been deeply hypocritical by giving up on himself while fighting so hard to save someone else. Police drama unfolds as Bear loses it with Caleb in Emmerdale over terrifying discovery. Emmerdale is broadcast on ITV1 every weekday evening at 8 p.m, with episodes also available to stream on ITVX.